Good morning, English 11. This is Miss Edmiston, and I am here to introduce our next unit, which is called Historical Context. You'll notice that in our Google Classroom here under the topics, I have added historical context. And what historical context means is simply that every writer writes from the perspective and the worldview of his or her time period in history. And so we're going to look at three different time periods or eras in history. And we're going to look at how the authors who wrote during that time were influenced by those eras. And so we're going to take a look at three different people groups that represent each era. The first era is represented by the Puritans. You might know them better as the Pilgrims who came over on the Mayflower and celebrated the first Thanksgiving here in America. Then we are going to study the rationalists. They're the thinkers. They're very intellectual. And then we'll end by taking a look at the romanticists. They're very much into caring and loving the environment and each other. And so we'll be looking at that period. Here on this first entry here, I have posted notes for each of the different eras, and they'll help you keep track of the eras. We're going to study a different era each week. That's my hope, to kind of break it down that way. And I'll do that as best I can here. So we're going to start today with the Puritans. And we'll be looking at them for the rest of this week into next week, and then we'll start the rationalists. What I would recommend is that as we introduce each unit, that you print these notes and have them available, and then highlight what you think are the key points that represent that particular way of thinking for that particular era. And that will help you as you keep track and prepare for our quizzes, and then also prepare for our summative assessment that will be at the end of the unit. Today's assignment is for you to watch two documentaries on the Pilgrims or the Puritans. The first one is a historical documentary, and it walks you through how the Pilgrims came from Europe to America and what their lives were like in both places. And then there is a real-time tour of Plymouth Plantation. And yes, Plymouth is spelled correctly. It's not with a Y as we're used to. The actual original spelling is with an I. So as you're watching these videos, I'd like you to take notes on these categories here. And typically, if we were in class, there's 6 categories. So I would ask you to fold your paper into thirds, almost like a brochure. And that way you have 3 columns on the front and 3 columns on the back in which to take your notes. I think that's the best way to take notes. You're also welcome to type those notes if you prefer, and you can put them in boxes or any format that works for you. It really doesn't matter so long as you have detailed notes about the era. These are going to be important because when we get to our quizzes, you'll have to know these facts about the era and how they make it into the author's perspective and the writings that they do. So, this is just a brief intro to our unit. Wanted to give you a just brief context and a brief explanation of our next unit. And then throughout the unit, I will shoot videos who would explain the different texts, but I'll also have some surprise videos that might pop in for a little entertainment here and there. So thanks for watching. Have a great day. And as always, write me if you have any questions whatsoever. I will see you in our Zoom discussion groups. Bye-bye.